So it's time for verse of the stream. Verse of the stream is a very simple one. Romans 8 verse 31. If God is for us, who can be against us? There's a song, isn't there, with that kind of God is for us, who can be against us? Because if you're like me and you're reading the news, then the world has gone a little bit mad at the moment. We've got a war going on in Ukraine, and that is kind of causing all sorts of disruption to Ukrainians and to Russians who are like literally fleeing the country because they don't want to be drafted up into a war that many of them actually don't want to be involved in. We've got the value of the pound has kind of absolutely crashed and tanked. Got a lot of uncertainty. A cost of living crisis that everyone keeps talking about. So there's a lot of anxiety and worry going on for many people. And maybe you're kind of a bit oblivious to that, or maybe you know other people who are experiencing that. But I mean, to be honest, in some ways, there's nothing new about that, is there? We live in a world where seems to be always something going on. And this simply says, if God is for us, who can be against us? And I think this is a really good little verse to kind of hold on to. That in the face of anxiety, in the face of uncertainty, in the face of sort of things that you kind of like, you might be feeling like, literally, how am I going to make it? And this verse is a lovely little promise. Like, actually, it doesn't matter what is set up against you at the minute, you will be okay. I have been absolutely crazy busy the last few weeks. It's just been like non-stop running from one thing to another, and there are lots of reasons for that. But it does feel like the pressure is building up, and you kind of feel like, oh my gosh, like what is going to happen? And this is a great verse again, just to keep coming back to. Actually, it's all right. I am I've mentioned it before. We got to find a new office, and this is not just a case of we just need to move from one office to another. Got to find the right place for our charity to be able to do the work with the young people that we absolutely love and want to work with. Not only that, I had a trustees meeting last night where we were looking at the budget, and as an organisation, we're going to make over this next year, we're going to lose £30,000. So basically, our income is this level, but our expenditure is that level, and that's like, oh, that could be a big worry. Like, what is going to happen with all that? And honestly, if I just looked at that from a human perspective, I might be really, really concerned. But when I look at it from a faith perspective, then if God is for us, then who can be against us? And I genuinely believe that although we've had a great place to do our youth work, I believe the best is yet to come. I believe that God has got something in mind for us. I believe that somehow that deficit will change. I believe that whatever happens, whatever gets thrown against us, God is on our side, because if you follow God, if you've entered into that commitment to him to follow him, then God is committed to you as well. And these promises in the Bible sort of say that he will be with you no matter what. He will stick with you. He will get you through. Now that doesn't mean that you will be completely unaffected. Doesn't mean that you'll never have kind of pain or suffering, or that won't be difficult, but it does mean you will overcome it. No matter what it is, he will get you through. And I have been through awful stuff before, so kind of part of it is that I can testify that this is true, because when I was 24, I got diagnosed with cancer. Okay, and it was a cancer which was in my kind of abdomen. It was called a sarcoma. It was quite a big one. I literally have a scar that runs from one half of my body round to the other. It's like 13-inch scar. So it's like half of my body. They literally chopped me in half to get to this sarcoma and take it out. And it was a lot of anxiety and worry for people. But um, uh, and it was hard. The recovery from that surgery was hard. I was incredibly tired for about a year afterwards. But even in that, and in the run up to that, I just knew God was going to see me through. It was going to be okay. My only prayer, my big prayer was like, just look after my kids, God. Just look after my kids. No matter what happens, I trust you no matter what, but look after my kids. But it was a difficult time. But again, if God is for us, who or what can be against us? Like the answer is nothing. So, even in great trials, even in difficult things, you can have peace. And I think as I look back on myself when I was 24 and I went through that period, I think a lot of people were worried that I wasn't treating it seriously, that I didn't understand the full ramifications of what I was going through at the time. And maybe, I have to be honest, maybe there was some truth in that. Maybe there was some part of me that, mid-20s, I was like, yeah, I can take on the world. But I also think there was something in me that there was a peace that came from God in that as well, which said it's gonna be okay. He's gonna see me through this. I didn't know what the outcome was gonna be. I didn't even know if you know things were gonna get worse, because at one point they were sort of like, well, the sarcoma could have attached to lots of other bits of your body, and we might have to chop out part of your stomach. There was all sorts of those questions, but I was just trusting that he would see me through. So, if you're following him, if you're trusting in him, then yeah, this verse says he is for you. And no matter what you are going through, he will get you through it. That is today's verse of the stream. If God is for us, who can be against us?